Plaintiff Charles Harris started dating the defendant after they met online, despite the fact that he was still legally married. Charles claims after he suffered a heart attack, the defendant revived him and saved his life. Yet they eventually broke up, and he's now back with his wife, and she's with him in court today. He's suing his ex for unpaid rent. Defendant Sherry Bell says when she started dating Charles, he said he'd been divorced from his wife for a year. Sherry says after she discovered that Charles was still married, she moved out, and he moved his wife back in that same month. So she refuses to pay him a dime of rent.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Prove the case.
I met Sherry in February 2009 while I was in military training. We met on an internet dating site and began texting and emailing back and forth. When I returned from military training at the beginning to mid-March, we met in person. Things moved fairly quickly. In mid to late May, I began spending a lot of time with her at her house with my children. At the time, her sister, Shelly, over here lived with her. In early to mid-June, we decided to officially move in together. Her sister went ahead and signed off of the lease at that time, and I was put on the lease officially. In mid-July, we found out that we were pregnant with our child. We were overjoyed. And early to mid-September, I was at military drill on my way home, pulling into her grandmother's driveway. I had gone into cardiac arrest in her car after I was coming home. She had found me
driving?
Actually, fortunate enough, Your Honor, I was pulling in the driveway. Somehow I had managed to put the car into neutral, and I have no memory of it because I was completely incapacitated. From what I understand, I was out for 6 minutes without a pulse or without breathing. Sherry helped revive me along with her grandfather, which I'm, of course, grateful for, and so is my family.
Yeah, you showing your gratitude to that's for sure.
Well, Your Honor,
she saved your life, but you need that $4,000.
Well,
you need your money. I know that's right.
Basically, Your Honor, while I was in the hospital for 3 of those days, I was in a coma. Part of it was medically induced to save from any brain damage, which is, of course, still questionable at this time.
You seem pretty lucid.
Yes, Your Honor. But basically, while I was in the coma, my wife and I were separated at the time. We had been separated
Your
since...
Honor, that's not true.
Hold on. Yeah, I don't assume it's true either. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been reviving him. Is that who you're talking about?
Your Honor, to let you know, during June, when I was working at a restaurant bar, she had found out that I was still legally married.
So when you say married, who are you referring to now?
Your Honor, this is my wife, Anna.
Now, has she ever been your wife?
No, she has not, Your Honor.
Okay. She obviously didn't know you were married when she was reviving.
Your Honor, she found out. Your Honor, she found out in June of 2009. The event with the cardiac arrest happened in September of 2009. I don't know what she has stated, but she found out in June that I was still legally married. The way that it went, she had called me on a cell phone on the way home from work. She had been going through my computer, which is fine because I had moved in with her. The computer was there for her to use. She had gone through, looked at photos. Yes, initially I had told her I was divorced. That is my fault morally and factually. But at the time of June, she had found out that I was still legally married, going through a divorce. Her and I had separated in November of 2008. And I had stated to her that I still wanted to be with her, to work things out with her. She decided at that time to go ahead and stay with me. In July after that, we found out we were pregnant, or she was pregnant, excuse me, with our child. Our
daughter, is a good way to put it. You all share the burden. That's
yes, Your
a good
Honor.
way to put it.
And our daughter right now is 2 months old. And that in September is when I went into cardiac arrest. So I don't know if she stated to the court that she had no idea that I wasn't, I was still legally married.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Well, Your Honor, like he said, we met around March of 2009 from a Craigslist dating ad. We started seeing each other. Things were great. He told me that he was divorced. He was separated or divorced for over a year. He had joint custody of his kids, living on his own. A month after we started dating is when she dropped the kids off with him, or he kept the kids. She couldn't handle them anymore. I stepped in as their mother. Her daughter called me mommy. I fed them, I clothed them. They were staying a lot at my house along with my sister and a roommate. So obviously in June, it was extremely too many people. My sister and my roommate decided to move out. He decided he wanted to move in, talked about future plans, marriage. We got our family portraits taken. He wanted to adopt my son. Everything was great. Then September of 2009, like he said, he went into cardiac arrest. My grandpa revived him. And it was at that point when I found out that he was married.
That's not true, Your Honor.
And when he got out, he said that the only reason they were not divorced is because they did not agree on custody of their kids.
Go ahead.
Well, she found out in June of 2009. Now, let me bring up an example here, Your Honor. If I may, if my wife is allowed to speak, Your Honor.
Come on up. State your name.
Anna Harris.
What do you want to tell me?
They were dating and all this, and him and I were trying to work out custody agreements and everything with our children.
Basically what happened, Your Honor, to bring up the fact that she knew that I was still legally married as of June, there was several instances where Miss Bell over here decided to call my wife's attorney that she had retained for the divorce before the cardiac arrest ever happened. Also, there was a time,
sir,
that
I believe she knew. I believe that after she found out, which was before all these problems started occurring in your life, that's why you start having so many problems.
Well, the reason that I had problems,
I don't know why you're so surprised that after you got busted being married by this woman, that somehow you had a heart attack.
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't understand what would make you think this woman wouldn't put something in your drink.
I know. Basically, Your Honor, I had been drinking because she refers to her oldest son about adopting and everything like that. I had been taking care of her oldest son along with my two children.
That don't cause you a heart attack.
And, well, not only that, but I was working overnights to help support the household. Now, for several months, I had been giving her my paychecks. I'm 25 years old, Your Honor. Well, I was still in the hospital.
Why do you think you had a heart attack at 25? That's my point.
That's exactly my point, Your Honor.
What did you put in it?
I didn't put anything. He was like that when I found him.
You put something in that man's drink.
Nope.
What did the doctors say happened, sir? Was there something in your system that perhaps had provoked it?
Basically, they were unable to fight any heart disease, and what they could determine is that through the excessive amounts of energy drinks I was drinking and also stress.
Energy drink?
Energy drinks.
Really? How many had you drank?
On average a day, I was drinking 5 to 6 a day. The reason being, Your Honor, I know. The reason being, Your Honor, is because the reason I was referring to taking care of her son is because I was working nights to help support the household. I was getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep a day, and then I was also cleaning the house.
Yeah. Folks don't know that those energy drinks, I've heard that if you overconsume, that they can cause health problems.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
How does she owe you for rent?
In September 23rd, I left and told her I was done. And after I had stayed away for a few days, she had sent a text message to me stating that she could no longer afford the rent of the house. The rent is $750 per month.
Mm-hmm. What months does she owe you for?
She owes me for the months of September of 2009 to June of this year.
Never got a replacement roommate?
No, Your Honor. Well, my wife had moved in with me. I'm still in the residence.
What do you mean
now.
by no then? You have a replacement roommate. That's
yes,
what that's called. And when the replacement roommate comes in, the replacement roommate has that obligation. Just like when she moved out and you became the replacement roommate, you had to assume her share of the rent.
Yes, Your Honor, but I also have a lease agreement here stating that she is on the lease agreement.
I understand
and part of the
that.
lease
And
agreement,
anytime you have a lease and one moves out and someone replaces that person replaces the payment toward that lease.
I understand that, Your Honor, but it also states here in the lease agreement that if her and I have abandoned the lease agreement, even if the landlord was to say to get a replacement for that, we are liable under this lease agreement for the entire lease agreement.
Okay, and so show me where you've paid.
All right.
Where you've paid and after having moved out. Having moved out.
I'm still in the place, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, good
Yes,
enough. I believe that clause is talking about you're liable if you move and owe money.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you're there and you're paying. How long was it, ma'am, before he moved in his wife?
I moved out October and they moved in October.
Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor, because I had to
Case
continue
dismissed.
the lease agreement.
You have no replacement. Have a good day.
Whatever happened today was what was meant to happen, because after everything he's put her through.
Everything she I put her through?
Yeah.
I'm sitting in a hospital bed, still in just came out of a coma.
No one cares that you were in a hospital. What we care about is the fact that
I died.
I died.
You're
married.